This is Governor Bobber. I like good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Little throwback, flashback Friday today. That was our original opening that we had from back in the day. And we are back. It is Dr. Possum, Political Architects. Traveling man, Dr. Jeff is still on the road. And we've got a lot of things happening this week, Don. Everything from your birthday to really lousy numbers coming in for how the economy's doing right now.
Yes, I'm creeping towards Medicare eligibility.
Yeah, and but I just cannot believe how what do you call how horribly bad everything is. You know how bad the numbers are coming in. You know, Joe Biden. You know, inflation went up again 1/10 of a point this month. You know, consumer prices at the supermarket, they're going up. I tell you, and this strike with the railroad that they settled, where everybody's getting $11,000. You know, guess who's going to pay for that? People that use freight rail, you and I. And let me tell you, we're going to see an increase in the price of food. You know, flour prices will go up. I think you posted an article earlier today on Facebook about how price of eggs and flour and milk and cheese, they're all going to be going up this year. And those of you who have oil heat, tighten your belts. It is going to be a rough winter. You know, if you're using oil to heat your home, even natural gas prices are going to be going up as well, frankly.
Yeah. We're going to face a lot of things. I mean, yeah, on the energy front, I don't know how many homes here, except for maybe some older ones that are still around, that are still using oil heat.
Actually, if you're in like the northern area, like Clarksville and Damascus and those areas, there are a lot.
Where it's tougher to bring a line in for gas and stuff like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. There's
kind
parts
of
of only.
Kind of like having a septic tank, right?
Yep. It's like parts of only in that area also have fuel. I know there was a lot of houses that used to have, because ways back when I was looking at houses, we're talking about 15 years, 20 years, 25 years ago, looking at houses, there was a house, you know that neighborhood over in Aspen Hill. It's on the right side of George Avenue, like Hathaway.
Yeah.
And that neighborhood, we saw a house. Evidently, those all used to use oil heat, but evidently a lot of the people converted over to gas when gas lines came in. And that's that's not a. It's an old neighborhood, but it's not that old. I think that may have been built in the '60s. And you'd think that they would have not had natural gas. They would have had natural gas lines by that time. But then again, that used to be the outskirts back in the days. You know.
Right. I mean, University Boulevard was maybe like a couple, like a 2-lane road, not a 6-lane road, and all those things. I mean, Olney or something. You go up that was the country.
And you don't really remember years ago. There's after Vitro on George Avenue, there was nothing there.
Right, for a long time.
You know, and even like what's that? What is that shopping center? Is that where right by the stained glass pub, the shopping center where there used to be years ago there used to be a video arcade there. There was a Pizza Hut there.
The whole Glenmont shopping center area.
The is that what it's called? Glenmont? Yeah, the Heckingers used to be there.
Heckingers, which is now a Lidl, I think, and
and past there was not much of anything until you got to, like not too far up. Was the Vitro plant, and now there's a Home Depot. Now there's like stuff all the way to Olney. You see now.
Yeah, that old shopping center. I mean, right near the McDonald's used to be the Q Club, the smoky pool hall.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I went there with the friends of mine. I had no idea I had no idea how to play pool with it. It was funny. I mean, that's just, it's just part of the thing, when you go back about 45, 50 years, that was what was
Yeah,
going on back then. And yeah, yeah, now I'm thinking about, and you're talking about that part of that shopping center in that one corner where it was like the arcade thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you had the one end where I think it was you had the grocery store or whatever it was
Yeah,
initially,
that
and
actually, I want to say, I think that used to be a Grand Union
I
originally
think
over there,
so. That's what I'm thinking. I think it was
and
a
then
Grand
after
Union,
Grand Union, I think it was
and then
a
became like a
Basics.
Magruder's and
Well, actually, it was a Basics before that. Then it became a
oh,
Magruder.
Basics. Whoa, now there's something I haven't heard of for ages.
Yeah, there was a Basics there, and because it was a Grand Union. Then when Grand Union left, it was empty for a while. The
Yeah,
Basics came in there, and I want to say it may have even been a Pranty Pride there at some point.
yeah. I don't know. I mean,
Or was
this
that
yeah,
further up? I think,
it's gone.
but
It's gone. Well, I mean, if you
like where
if
the low T was, I think it was around there, maybe
the
around the
where
low
well
T
the
spot.
Lotte was, it was an A&P, inline super,
AMP, okay,
like
AMP,
A&P
that's it.
Superfresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that was.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, I mean it's something, but I'm thinking, I remember kind of really, I guess as a teenager,
Yeah.
used to see the home heating oil trucks. There were quite a few
Hmm.
of them. That you don't
Yep.
see too much of anymore, you know. And gas, I mean, over time, I mean, a lot of new homes were built, particularly if you're in a townhome. I mean, my home in Silver Spring / Aspen
Hmm.
Hill, just that home that was built in '85, that was
Yep.
a heat pump. That was the big thing in the '80s, was heat pumps.
Yeah. And I tell you, the first snow, people realize why a heat pump's not so great
It was
because
not
you
a
have,
it was not a pleasant experience. It was
especially if
never.
snow, especially if snow covered it up, and the
Yeah.
backup was electric, and electric was not that cheap either. Electric heat was expensive. We've got but I mean, modern homes. I remember Virginia Power used to always push for the electric homes, and all electric is not as great as everyone thinks it is. I mean, electric the water does not stay warm. It doesn't transition from hot to warm when you run out of hot water. It basically goes from hot to cold.
Yeah, look, I mean,
And
if you're gonna heat your home, and cook, heating and cooking, natural
yeah.
gas. I mean, when we moved to this home 18 years ago,
Hmm.
for me, it was a revelation. Now, I'd grown up in a house that you could do that, but I never really realized,
Hmm.
what the benefits were of this, and everything like this. And I'm like, wow, this was, it made a huge difference in terms of how you manage a household, but also, cooling. Yeah, you need electricity, and you do that, but heating,
Hmm.
natural gas is so much nicer in the wintertime. Natural gas is
Yeah.
so much better for cooking. So, but yeah, but the forces that be out there, you know, you talk about all electric. I mean, they want restaurants to be all electric in the kitchens, and
Yeah.
for the environment, right? Ugh.
Hmm. Yeah, and so I'm sorry. No, you want to have gas is the most efficient way to heat a home, to cook on. It's a lot cheaper than electricity. You have I was as Hank Hill from King of the Hill. Gas is the heating source from the god. You know, because he used to push propane, and I think that's gas is more efficient. I can't believe I saw a post from one of our friends about Air Canada buying electric airplanes. Howdy, Susan.
Yeah, no, no, you're right about that. I mean, that kind of I thought I saw that,
They
and I thought,
better pay me to get on one of those. Frankly, I need to be paid to go on an electric airplane. Frankly, I mean, imagine. Oh, we're at a 20% charge right now.
well, yeah, yeah, I don't know, and I mean, how does it get affected in an electrical storm or something? I don't know. I mean, there's so much there. I don't know. I think it's down the line in the future, but it just
Hmm.
seems, I don't know. I just can't. I'm trying to process all this. going all electric, getting rid of gas powered everything
Hmm.
and whatnot.
Yep.
And the there's a movement. I think it was in California or somewhere where big movement to try to ban gas powered leaf blowers. Okay, and, look, and I know those things
Hey,
annoy
they
me.
did that in Chevy Chase. They also
Yeah,
banned
and
mowing lawns.
I've got a battery operated leaf blower, but I'm betting, having never
Uh-huh.
had a gas powered leaf blower or anything like that, I'm betting that my battery powered leaf blower is really a lot heavier than the gas powered one, because this that battery on that thing is
Yeah.
heavy. And it gives
Oh
you
yeah.
about 20 minutes, and then you got to change battery. So,
How many batteries do you got to keep on hand? Like five?
well, we have when you get them from like a Sam's Club or a Costco, they
Mm-hmm.
always come with two. I don't know if they come that way when you buy them from Home Depot or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
you need to have that, because at 20 minutes, you have one in reserve, and then you just swap it out and charge the other one.
Yeah. And yeah.
I love it. Yay, Susan.
Hey, exactly. Maybe they're gonna build flying helicopters that bring chargers. Chargers.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's very much that ultimate, environmental pipe dream kind of thing. Like we can do this, and everything will be peachy keen,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody, the air will be cleaner, and there'll be
Yep.
less noise, and greenhouse gases will not be a problem anymore. But
Yep.
it takes you can't. I just don't see how you're going to ever generate enough electricity through all this solar and wind to
Mm-hmm.
do what to power everything. I mean, it doesn't happen. And we talked about this. I think we talked about this last week, didn't we, Dwight?
Mm-hmm.
About the guy who was trying to charge his Tesla on the hill. You know,
Yeah.
and he could. He had a hard time finding a charger that he could do.
Yeah.
Part
And
of it was because of vandalism. Which
yep.
never occurred to me about the vandalism, but it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense when you're in DC that people are just going to be stupid, and they'll cut the wires and the lines. It's like, yeah, exactly. So how you're going to have these massive amount of chargers in places,
Yeah.
not
That's
all
what
in
Joe
sync.
Biden wants to do. He wants to put all these charging. And I'll tell you this: EVs are great. But I'll tell you this: uh, hydrogen fuel cells. That is the future. Toyota actually has a couple of hydrogen fuel cell cars they sell only in California because California has, and I think it's only in Southern California where they got a series of hydrogen fueling stations, and you can fill up just as fast as you fill up your gas car, and that's really EVs is kind of like a bridge technology that's going to take us to hydrogen fuel cells. Because I know right now hydrogen fuel cells in colder climates, they say it does crack in the winter times it gets cold. So I mean, once that gets perfected, things will be, that will be the way to go. Actually, not really EVs is like the bridge technology that's going to take us to hydrogen fuel cells, or you know, honestly, even nuclear. I mean, nuclear powered cars. You got to do something about it in case of accidents. But I mean,
Every car in the trunk is a little nuclear reactor, mini reactor.
people will be driving a lot more cautiously. Yeah. But I mean, you could down the road, technology wise, it can be done. I think the other,
Hey, Dwight, on this
yeah,
hydrogen thing, and I know I wish Jeff was on here,
hmm
because I know Jeff gets into a lot of this stuff.
yeah.
Is that how volatile is hydrogen? I mean, I don't really.
Oh
Is
well,
it very is it very combustible? In a sense. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. Remember the Hindenburg,
that's true. Yeah. So my thing is, so that's the thing. I'm trying to think, like, even with a small hydrogen tank. I mean, if somebody
Mhm,
rear ends you or whatever, wherever they put the tank, I mean, isn't that
mhm.
a bigger risk than a regular
Well,
car, or what?
in California, I think for a few years they've had hydrogen fuel cell cars going, and I think it's safe where it impacts. I think they've done it safely enough that it does not cause a Hindenburg on the
Yeah.
road experience. Frankly,
Of course. I mean, the
uh,
Hindenburg was big.
yes,
I
I
mean,
remember.
there is a
Yeah.
size issue too. I mean, if you had a smaller tank, I mean, if there's a way to
Hmm.
easily fill it, but also protect it from impact a little bit more or whatever. Maybe that works. I mean, I know you're Mr. Hydrogen. When you have, this is not the first time you mentioned
Yeah,
hydrogen, but
exactly.
every time we look at EVs and just this massive push towards EVs, you're like, this is just not practical, you
No.
know.
And $60,000 is the price of an EV. I went to one of the better dealerships in our area, Sport Chevrolet, and I mean they were telling me, they go, yeah, that's what the Trailblazer EV they say is starting around. I think it's like 40 something or something. They go, but it's not. You're not going to be able to get it for 40. It's going to be at least 80 to $100,000.
Well,
Because,
and that's the same. This is what I think. The same thing goes. I mean, they announced that they're going to have a $30,000, Equinox EV,
yep.
right?
Hmm.
But that's the starting price, right? I
Yeah.
mean, are you really going to be able to? How many people are able to buy that $30,000 model? It's going to be much more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know.
Hmm. Well, he says like even these Hummer EVs, he goes, they're like getting $200,000 for some of these EVs, and I'm thinking like $200,000. Why would you spend what used to be a mortgage for a house, and your house is going to appreciate in 30 years or whatever, that EV is going to go down in value. It is not cars. You get diminishing values, on the car.
Probably not as much as it used to, until they clear up all the computer chip backlog. I mean, I
Yeah.
think even the used prices are holding up pretty well. I mean,
Although
it's
they've been
it's
going,
hard to
they're
lease a car and get the
yeah,
buyout. Now the dealers want them back.
yep. And I tell you, when I was in Florida, they gave me an Equinox. For it was a stripped down Equinox. That's why I'm thinking nobody's gonna. I mean, it's 30,000 Equinox. You'll have power windows and stuff like that, but you're not gonna have the side impact warning system. You're not gonna have the front camera or the collision sensor in the front. You're not going to have stuff like that. And that's stuff people have gotten really used to, those side impact resistance. It's like, when I was driving, I'm like, oh, I got to look over my shoulder, use my, make sure there's nothing in my blind spot, you know. And that stuff I think is becoming more and more standard on cars. But that's also why cars cost what they cost. Because I mean, I remember when cars used to be $4,000 to $5,000. For about 7-8 grand, you get a Cadillac.
I'm going to say we because we when we took our trip to Indiana this last time, I said I'm done with the 10-hour plus drive. So
Yeah.
we flew to Louisville, rented a car, and then drove the last
Hmm.
hour, almost 2 hours. So the car we got in Louisville was a Honda CRH,
Okay.
and so I guess
That's
it's a
small.
smaller version of the CRV. Uh,
Yeah.
but one of the things in there that Young didn't actually like very much, but I thought was very curious, was that they have on the screen,
Hmm.
they basically had it would show up like if somebody came into the blind spot,
Yeah.
that would show up on your panel.
Oh yeah, they got a camera. Honda's got a camera,
Yeah,
and it's only.
they got a camera on the mirror, on the side view
Yep.
mirror. So when you hit that blind spot, you can actually see the blind spot. Young finds it distracting. I thought it was kind of interesting how the technology's been, is that you throw those cameras in there, because those I don't know how many times, in particularly in Young's car and
Hmm.
her SUV, that people in that blind spot, I just don't see them.
Yeah. And
And
that's actually, and that's all. They should put it on both. Honda only puts it, I think, on the right side and not the left side, but I think they should put it on both sides.
yeah, definitely on the right side. Yeah.
But I think they should do it on both sides. Frankly, they probably will. They probably will. And but that's the way these things are. And I mean, I wish we had more good news this week. I mean, inflation went back up this week.
Right.
Joe Biden did a victory party the day the stock market dropped 1,200 plus points.
Well, this is my observation here was just it was interesting because he'd given some talk the day before those inflation numbers came out.
Yeah,
And one of the things that he had said in this talk, this speech, was that you know the the things are going good for the economy, and the Inflation Reduction Act is doing its job, right? Which
yeah,
which is an outright lie because it really
yeah,
there hasn't been anything that's been done really yet.
yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of the things in the in this Inflation Reduction Act don't even take effect for years, and
Yep.
what does take effect will probably wind up being somewhat inflationary. So it's a complete lie to begin with. And then then we get the inflation numbers, which the market had spent days. They had been building momentum. It
Hmm.
had recovered a lot of the last group of
They lost
losses,
all the gains.
and now it's in kind of a free fall because these numbers came in, and I think they were thinking that with gas prices having fallen for about the last 3 months,
Yep.
that this should temper it. But what's happening? You mentioned a little bit at the beginning. I mean, just these high flour up, eggs up, bread up, all these things are going
Yeah.
up. So grocery prices, which is a definite issue that hits voters. If you're still dealing with 10 to 15% inflation at the
Yep.
grocery store
Hmm.
on the average, that's hurting you. The
And
gas prices are helping that the fact that they're going back down, but they're still higher than they were a year
yeah,
ago
they're
anyway.
still over, like in Montgomery County for most places, they're still over $4. You know,
They must.
I've
That's
I
probably I think that's probably in the well, yeah, I think it's like if you're over by like Darnestown Road area
yeah.
over there,
Hmm.
for some reason that Liberty and that Shell station are still just way high, right? And maybe the
Yeah.
Sunoco down the street. You
Yeah.
come over to my neck of the woods, it's gotten a little bit better. I think the high price is like 379. You
Yeah.
go over to Montgomery Village, there's a Shell there for 339. And
Really?
we're seeing a lot more of the 350s and below coming in now.
Yeah.
So that's
Like
good.
yeah,
That's
I go
better.
to
It's
the
not great,
Wawas.
but it's better.
Yeah. Yeah, I go to the Wawas in Beltsville or Greenbelt, wherever that is, on Route 1. But
Hmm.
they're moving also. They're building a Wawas where the IKEA is on that side of the road.
Are they really?
Yeah, I saw.
I'm,
I
I'm,
saw. I wonder if they're moving or they're just building another Wawas on that side.
that's interesting because I mean, I'm waiting for the Wawas to go up in Gaithersburg. Not that I'm going to use the gas because the only gas that we put in our cars, is top tier,
Hmm.
marked. But
But you
you know,
get premium gas there. It's still cheaper than it would be, say, at Exxon, the premium.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't care about that,
Hmm.
Young has basically issued a dictate. Just like this is it. Rather, well, what it is that here's the
Well, if you're
trade.
using Exxon, I want to thank you because I'm an Exxon shareholder, and thank you
Well,
for.
so we were using. I was gassing up a lot with Marathon and Rockville because they had the better prices and they're
Yeah.
top tier. We will use Costco, but we're usually never close enough to a Costco to make that worthwhile. But if we happen to be there, we'll do that. As
Hmm.
long as it's not like Beltsville or the one out near Ellicott City. I mean, the lines there are kind of ridiculous. But otherwise, lately we've been doing Shell because the Shell pricing has been good. And
Yeah.
it has to be one of the. It winds up that the top tier stations are most of the majors, but Wawa,
And yeah.
I mean, I know they have some subs and some other things like that. But yeah, I might go over there once in a while and grab a bite to eat at
They got some
Wawa.
good milkshakes there too, by the way.
So I'm
But
waiting.
the
I'm
thing,
waiting for that.
yeah, I
But,
mean,
but I haven't gone to the Royal Farms up in Gaithersburg since it opened for the fried chicken that I
oh,
like.
I did go there actually when it after it opened. One to get gas and two to just what do you call it? When I was there was a interview I had in that area for what from one of the I think it was the FOP was right there, and I decided,
Oh,
hey, it's yeah,
for as a candidate, Dwight.
yep, as candidate Dwight, yeah, and we've done that, and it was I liked it. It's a lot cleaner than the Wawas, not the Wawas, but the Royal Farms I've been to in the past, like in Baltimore County. Like when I was doing Ray Kroll's book, I used to fill up at the Wawas on Pulaski Highway, which incidentally, Spiro Agnew used to pump gas at that same gas station before it was a Royal Farms. And like catty corner to there is a boarding house that was owned by his family. But yeah, I didn't even know that. Ray Kroll told me that. He goes, "Yeah, Spiro Agnew used to fill up gas at that gas station. He used to be, when he was in law school, he was. That's how he made. But
So one of my questions is, and is that so? We've got less than 2 months before the election, but we
mhm,
also have early voting, mail-in voting starting in some
mhm.
places. I mean, I think it can. I think in Pennsylvania it will start pretty soon.
Yeah,
So
before the debates.
inflation. If voters start voting based on inflation numbers today, and that becomes a top issue, that's not good for the Democrats. Because this is how all the mail-in voting, the early voting, is changing the dynamics of an election, is
Mhm,
because you no longer really have a chance up until November 8th or whatever the date is in
mhm,
any given year. And this year, I think it's the 8th, to
mhm.
really convince voters, except for those that are going to the polls. The other ones that start early voting and mail-in voting, once they're locked in no matter what happens. So, you know, late breaking developments for one candidate or another, you know, won't affect those people who already voted. Inflation
Mhm.
numbers. These inflation numbers are pretty much the last inflation numbers for a lot of voters, because we're
Yep.
now entering an early voting period in some places.
Mhm.
So, the Democrats were looking for moderating inflation, and not it's just not happening right now.
Everything's going the wrong direction. As Al Gore said in 1992, everything that's up should be down, everything that's down should be up. Frankly,
Right. And,
it
and you
is
and you correctly pointed out at the beginning, as you talked about the rail strike that was averted, is they've got this $11,000, whatever it is, payment
immediate. They're
immediately.
getting it
Yep.
immediately too.
Right. So, everybody who strikes, okay. I mean, now we're seeing this balance of power shifting. We're seeing more teacher type strikes. We're seeing lots of more,
Yeah.
labor union type of strikes, and potential strikes going on there, to try to gain higher wages. Now, I do not blame a worker for trying to get higher wages when inflation is where it is. The problem is that you start doling out all these big, increases for things. Who is paying for it? As you said, you and me and everybody else,
Hmm.
because those costs are not going to be absorbed by the
Yeah.
employer. They're going
Conrail's
to
not
be
going to be.
passed on. The rail companies are going to take all that extra expense,
They're going to
and they're
charge
going
the
to
farmers more for
they're going to
transporting
build it
their
right into
grain.
their shipping rates.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
it's like
and
right now.
that'll get to us.
Yeah. I mean, now with the way things are, we're being overcharged for a lot of things right now. I mean, if you go to, say, I mean, I was astonished about this. I went to the local Safeway and a loaf of bread, and this is just their house brand bread, which I don't think anybody should be eating, frankly, just because that white bread is like really bad bread for you. It's kind of like the old Wonder Bread or Sunbeam bread. You know, that was $4.99 a loaf, and if you wanted a healthier option like a multigrain, whole wheat, or whatever, or rye bread, you're looking at $6.99 per loaf. $5.99, 6.99, or even a little bit higher for that bread. That really does impact average families. Families are cutting back. And I hate to see what this Christmas season is going to be like for retailers. It's not going to be a good season for them. I think. I
Well,
think
and
they're
we talk about groceries. I don't know if you saw that story about Wegmans. So
yeah,
Wegmans has self-checkout, but they have a self-checkout app like a lot of stores do. So you
yep,
can use the app and check out, and supposedly pay, but people are actually walking out of the store without paying at all. So Wegmans is basically going to deactivate the app. Sam's Club and Costco, I mean, they both have self-checkout. Sam's
hmm
Club is much more militant about it, because
yes,
when you check out of a Sam's Club, the person at the door has a scanner, and they scan your receipt, and they
yep,
scan 2 or 3 products in your cart if you've got a lot of products, to see if it matches. If it matches, you're good to go, and all
Hmm.
that stuff. But if that's how they're trying to reduce the shrinkage. And for everybody who walks out of a store without paying for anything, whether or not it's groceries or any, or maybe you walk out, you try to get up at a Home Depot or whatever,
Hmm.
where everybody's paying for it. Even you who are stealing are going to wind up paying for it in a lot of ways, because it's coming back. That shrinkage, that theft, is not something that the companies just
Yeah.
generally say, well, that's a foregone conclusion. They look at that and they build that back into the prices of what they
Yep.
expect things to do. I mean, and I don't, I don't know that it's if it's worthwhile for Wegmans or these guys to have like a security officer, because security officers usually just kind of hang around, but they're kind of a deterrent, but they don't actually check anything,
Yeah.
right? Uh, so, if you're used to shopping at Sam's or Costco, I kept thinking today, it's like, maybe, if this is a problem, then they got to do something. I mean, Amazon, I have not been in one of their stores yet, which reminds me, I got to see when my coupon expires for that Amazon Go store in Chevy Chase. But,
Hmm.
the idea of what Amazon has done, where you walk in, check in with the app, and it automatically calculates what you take off the shelf and put in your cart, and then you just pay, wire, you just
Yeah.
without having to do anything. You walk out the store. They don't have to have a lot of employees except for restocking and stuff like that. It's not
Oh, that's
quite.
right. There is an Amazon Market that opened up on Shady Grove. Have you been there yet?
They haven't opened it up yet.
Oh, it hasn't opened up yet. I thought it was open already.
No, they have. I haven't seen the opening, but that's supposed to be just like the one that's in Chevy Chase, the one
Okay.
or the one that's down by Ames' last old office, on East West Side. So Connecticut.
Hmm.
There was
Yep.
that family. There was that long time grocery store that'd been there forever.
Oh
And
yeah.
then all the land was bought up, and
Oh,
apparently,
okay. Chevy Chase Lakes. Yeah.
right. Yep. They
Okay.
took. Yeah, that's a funny place though, because if you think about it, Dwight, they've got these. They built they've been building all these expensive homes or
Yeah.
townhomes or apartments over there,
Hmm.
and between that and like the railroad tracks sits that small little Carroll gas station, which used to be a
Yeah.
Citgo. It's one of those. I don't know. You remember that? You remember the old movie Up, right?
Yeah.
You know, everything goes around it, and that just one little little
Yeah.
place. I keep thinking about that every time, going on about that, and stuff like that. Which reminds me, Purple Line,
Yes.
bad, bad, bad. It's even
4 years.
even the people are complaining about this Purple Line. I'm like, something. I didn't like it at the beginning, and it's proven that it's even
Yeah.
worse beyond my wildest
I mean, I
expectations about
used to.
Purple Line.
Yeah. I mean, I used to run. I just started running when the construction and all that was just, I think, getting underway. And now I can't use the Capitol Crescent Trail anymore because it's closed. You know, uh, so I go the
Yeah,
other
look,
way.
I think, despite a lot of the Republicans out there, I think, Maryland was better off with Larry Hogan than anybody else we could have had at
Absolutely.
that point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no one's
Well, you know
perfect.
what? You know what really would have made sense instead of the purple line. This is what I would have been for. Take the green line. Sure, it'd been a little bit of pain up the Parkway to BWI. So all three of our major airports will be connected by metro. You could take the train to BWI, you could take the train to Dulles, you could take the train to Reagan, and that would every world class city has connected rail to their airports. We've got Mark, but you can't take Mark any time of the day to go to BWI, frankly.
Right, right. Well, what I was trying to say is that, as much as I generally think that Hogan done a pretty good
Hmm.
job, this to me was a huge mistake. I didn't like it. Like I said, when they did it, I thought, it was already going to be too
Oh yeah.
expensive.
Hmm.
And the pandemic, which could not have been foreseen, only made this worse. I mean, now you've got this project, um, and even when it gets done, whenever that is, exactly who's going to be riding it at this stage, right?
Yeah.
Metro is suffering. Metro is so far below where they were pre-pandemic, they
Yep.
can't get anything. I mean, the Washington Post put out an editorial that, in essence, basically saying that what Metro ought to be doing is handing out fare cards to get people to ride the rails again.
Mm-hmm.
People will
And,
ride the rails until the fare card, is used up, and then they're going to go back and do what they
and
did.
here's the thing: people aren't going to use. Okay, I tell you what. There's a couple of reasons why. As our mutual friend Gary Bays, he actually bought a house. He moved from where he lived in McLean to be closer to a metro station, so he could walk to the metro station to go to work. He doesn't use the metro anymore because one, he doesn't feel safe riding the metro because crime on metro is, somebody started burning a seat on metro. I think it was last Friday.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I think
Stuff like that, and the stuff like that is happening all the time on the metro. Like people are being robbed, people are being mugged. I used to, when I used to take the metro, I would take a nap, and I'd wake up right around Cleveland Park, you know, and that way I'd get up, so I don't fall asleep again. It's because Van Ness was the next stop. That was back when I was working for you. And, I don't think I'd feel comfortable taking a nap on Metro today because I'd feel something would be stolen from me by the time I woke up.
right. I mean, certain metro stations had some crime problems. Most of the
Mhm.
crime problems were outside the stations on the
Yep.
property, but not in the station itself. I think now the problem that they're facing is just that with the ridership so far down, there's a potential for those things. Yeah. Would I ever try to take a brief cat nap on a metro now with so few people getting on and getting off?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
And I think actually as much as a pain sometimes is having all that hustle and bustle in the crowds and things like that on the
Hmm.
train, that was almost a safety buffer in
Yes.
a lot of ways, right? That provided you some comfort. But when the trains are empty, that
Yeah.
becomes high risk. And so what and I want to say from Susan with the I prefer humans. I know a lot of people who prefer
Yeah.
humans. Uh,
Hmm.
I use self checkout almost anytime I can, but I will pick a human if there's certain things I want to get done there that I think the self checkout may not work. Not all, and obviously not all self checkout is great. Sometimes
Yeah.
it'll flub up and you spend more time there because you got to wait for somebody to come over and fix it and
Well,
whatnot.
self checkout I think is great, unless you have a parent who thinks it's a cute when their 3-year-old is trying to scan groceries. They think it's cute. It's not cute, parents. No, you do it. People are using self checkout because it's faster than the other one.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't want the human interaction. They want it. They have one item. They just want to buy
Yeah.
that item and go.
Yeah.
Self-checkout good. And now, in a kind of a post-pandemic time, it's harder to find people to work for you anyway.
Yes.
So this helps alleviate the labor issue. If it's done right, self-checkout can actually, the labor
Hmm.
savings wind up paying for the machines. That Costco up in Gaithersburg here, right in my backyard,
Hmm.
they added 3 more
Yep.
self-checkouts, right?
Hmm.
So now you have 9 instead of 6,
Yeah.
which is much
Yeah. They've
better.
got that at the Wheaton Costco is like that as well. They got 9 self checkouts. And only thing I don't like is when the Costco sends you a rebate check, you can't use those at self checkout.
Oh, well,
That's
yeah, I haven't tried that, but there's some funky rules with those checks. So you can get 2 types of checks from Costco, right? If you have just from the Costco premium,
yeah,
the membership, right? The executive membership.
yeah,
The other one is if you have the credit card with Citibank, right?
yep, hmm,
But those 2 checks are different. The one you get
yeah,
with Costco, you can use it with a human being, right? But you
yes,
can no longer just cash it out for its full value. You can
yeah,
either use it against the merchandise,
hmm,
or you can go to membership and then use it for membership and get cash back. But the
hmm.
Citibank one, you can get all the cash for that if you want to.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that's the
Maybe,
wrinkle in all of that.
maybe I
But
should apply for their Citibank Costco card.
it's 2% and it's a
Yeah,
free
that's not
card,
bad.
right?
Yeah. Hmm. I've
I
been
mean,
using my US. I've got a US Air Visa card. I've been using that a lot because I'm racking up a lot of miles. I like using that. You
yeah,
know.
well, look, I was a big airline mile credit card guy, right? But
Yeah.
we don't fly a lot anymore. So
Hmm.
piling up the miles is kind of like useless. So now I go for
Upgrade
the
yourself to
cash.
first class when you fly to Indiana.
There's no first class in Southwest, like really.
No, there is not. But I tell you, I do like the fact that you can pay to be A through 15, which is great.
But it is, I think it's a variable rate, depends upon the route to how much
Yeah.
they'll charge you for that,
Well,
I
to
think.
Orlando, it's only $20.
Yeah. So
Uh,
here's a great thing with Southwest that we took advantage of.
mhm.
Um, so they offer their credit card this past year with a 50,000 mile
Points. Yeah.
bonus for signing up, right? And then you had to spend $12,000. Well, I
Hmm.
guess it was like $3,000 in the first 90 days or whatever it was. Then I think you get the 50,000 miles. Then if you spend 12,000 within the year, if
Hmm.
you open the card, you get another 50,000, right? And then if you spend 25,000 and it's still within that year period, then you get that. Then you're getting $1 per, right? But if
Hmm.
you can but if you earn 125,000 in a calendar year, you get a companion pass membership to the end of the next calendar year, right?
Oh, wow.
So I mean, the restriction there is that whatever companion you designate, on the website,
Hmm.
has to have the exact same schedule. They have to fly in and fly out the same time you do and
Hmm.
whatnot. But that's what Young and I have used. We've used it. We used it to fly to Louisville and back,
Hmm.
and we're using it to fly to Utah and back at the end of the month. Um, but I mean, a ticket to Utah these days is like $450 to $500 round trip.
Yeah.
My ticket cost, like $11 because it's the taxes, right?
Yeah.
Um, so for that, we're like, okay, we kind of put all our eggs in one basket, made this big effort
Yeah.
because it seemed like a once in a lifetime opportunity
Yep.
for us to qualify for a year's worth of companion pass. So until December 2023, 31st, 2023, if we take flights to places that Southwest flies, I'm flying as Young's freebie, you
Yeah.
know.
Are you flying to into Salt Lake or Provo?
I fly to Salt Lake. They don't have they I think only Allegiant has been flying into Salt Lake.
Really?
And they usually do that. They usually do that between like I was into Provo. I think they usually do that between Mesa and
Oh,
Provo,
okay.
things like that.
Well,
The airport in Provo is very small.
what's funny though, I heard, I don't know if this is true or not. Someone told me there's a lesbian mayor of Salt Lake City now.
Yeah, well, Salt Lake City has had nothing but Democrats and all kinds of things for years.
And I hear Evan McMullen is now a Democrat running for U.S. Senate against Mike Lee now.
He is an independent who the Democrats nominated to be their candidate to run against Mike Lee. I mean, that is how crazy politics have gotten in Utah. So Evan McMullen
Yeah.
there's no way he knew there's no way he could beat Mike Lee, as a Republican. So he registered as an independent. The Democrats couldn't settle on a candidate to begin with, so when they had their convention, they voted and decided to nominate McMullen. So here the Democrats in Utah nominating an independent to be their person. So the Democrats will be voting for Evan McMullen against Mike
Hmm.
Lee. It's not going
And
to work.
I don't think Mike Lee goes down. Mike Lee wins this handedly, frankly.
Yeah.
But I tell you,
McMullen is not a threat.
I am really irritated that Mitt Romney cannot come out and endorse Mike Lee. He has, I got two friends running for Senate. That's fine, Mitt, but 40, like, what is it, 49, 48 of the other Republican senators endorsed um, Mike Lee. And 49, Mike Lee, I'm sure, endorses himself as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, it's so ludicrous. It's like he's your colleague from Utah. He's been
Yeah.
there. You're
He
actually
was
going to
a
use some
big
excuse.
supporter of his presidential campaign. Mike Lee was
Yeah,
very active in the Romney for president campaign. It's like, come on, Mitt.
yeah. This
It-
is just more of that Mitt weirdness and stuff like that,
yeah,
posturing and
yeah.
things like that. I mean, it just reminds you how much he's really not a dyed-in-the-wool conservative by any stretch of imagination. He's definitely more of a middle of the road, or
He's no longer a severe conservative anymore, huh?
yes, the severe conservative. Yeah,
Yeah. But and by the way, I want to talk a little about the kidnappings. Joe Biden flying all those illegals to Westchester and other points around the country. That's ludicrous. All the kidnappings done by this administration of taking illegals that are now have refugee status being flown all over the country. I mean, that is reprehensible. The DOJ should be looking into that. Frankly, I make fun, but I cannot believe people like everyone from Gavin Newsom to Joe Biden. They've been accusing Ron DeSantis and Governor
Abbott.
Abbott of kidnapping these. They're given a choice. They're not shoved on the buses. It's not like I know you know what they're trying to paint. You know the portrait they're trying to paint, right? Hitler and shoving the Jews in these trains, boxcars, and shipping them off to Auschwitz and other concentration camps. That is the image they want to invoke when they say kidnappings.
Right. I know that the busing and obviously the flight from
I
Cuba
thought it was
are the
brilliant
I mean
in front of Camilla's
they've
house.
got to be costing Texas and Florida a lot of money on the one hand.
Yeah,
And while the Democrats are whining about this is nothing but
a stunt.
all these migrants are being used as political pawns and things like this. Yeah, no, DeSantis and
What have you
Abbott
guys
have
been
been
doing for the last? You guys have been
right.
doing that for years.
Yeah, I mean they're absolutely brilliant. I was cracking up when I saw that news report that they dropped a bunch off in front
Camilla,
of
yeah.
Kamala Harris's home and stuff like that. It's like,
By the
yeah,
way,
look, yeah,
do you know where? Do you know
let's talk to the
where?
border czar there.
You've driven by the vice president's residence, right?
Yeah, Naval Observatory.
Yeah, and do you know what's next to the Naval Observatory? The
I thought there
British
was an
Empire's
embassy.
the British Empire's embassy is right there,
Yeah, I
right?
mean it's all part of the embassy row
It
almost.
took Camilla 3 days to go to her neighbors to sign the condolence book for the Queen. We know she could. It took her like months to get to the border. I don't even think she went to the border. But I mean, come on! It takes you 3 days to go next door. Come on, you should have gone over there and brought a casserole for the people at
Hey,
the
hey,
embassy.
look, if you're the news media will never call them, they won't call them illegal immigrants and stuff like that. They call them migrants, trying to soften the blow. But
Migrants.
we know that that's been going on for a long time.
Yeah,
Heck, though, I mean, it's like, if you came into El Paso, Texas, and places like that, uh, or if you came into certain parts of Florida, maybe
yeah,
you're like, you know, Martha's Vineyard. I mean, this is a part of the world you probably would never see otherwise. You
yeah. I
know,
mean, look. Here's the thing. I cannot believe how insensitive the Hollywood elitists and Barack Obama's friends are at Martha's Vineyards. They're calling this a crisis. They are busing those people out of Martha's Vineyards fast as they can.
right? Is this not a NIMBY type of thing? Not in my
I know.
backyard.
Come on, don't you want them to see how the other half lives so they can aspire one day to be
Yeah,
able to
I thought
live?
I thought I thought you were compassionate about this. That we should accept all these
Yeah,
people. Okay, here they are. Now take care of them. You know,
yeah.
you know.
And
Muriel Bowser can't get the National Guard activated,
yeah,
at all for this. But
yeah.
it's just been interesting to see how the different jurisdictions
By
take
the
care
way,
of
she's changed a lot since her days on Shana Na.
it. You love that, don't you?
I do. And I can't take credit for that. I got that from Chris Plant. Chris Plant. I was the first there was Muriel Bowser from Shana Na. But what do you call and it's really bad, and we've got it's just so bad. I mean, they're illegal aliens, okay? In
Well, the thing,
1992,
the thing
when
too is that what the Democrats don't want to be reminded of, what Kamala Harris doesn't reminded of, Joe Biden, is just that when you do this, every time they do this, it sends a reminder to voters about, we have a crisis on the border, for which Joe Biden and Kamala Harris don't want to talk about.
yeah,
They talk about, oh yeah, we've got a border plan, or border security is fine,
I
right?
was
If
yeah, I was listening to Mark
talk to your
Levin,
talk to your
yeah,
Democrat mayor down in El Paso who
yeah,
wants to do the same thing.
or
Hello.
Henry Cuellar for that matter, Henry
Yeah.
Cuellar. And let me tell you, porous borders, crime, and inflation. That's going to do in the Democrats this November. Last night, I was listening to Mark Levin, and there's a woman calls in from Malibu. And we know Malibu's a posh place, multi-million-dollar homes, right? Her house was broken into twice. They had to cancel the Malibu chili cook-off because they're afraid of violence. I mean, when stuff like that is happening in nice neighborhoods, East LA, South Central, Watts, this is going to happen there. But you don't expect this to happen in Orange County. You don't expect this to happen in areas like Malibu. You don't, Simi Valley. You don't expect that, for crying out, and crime, even in Maryland. I mean, we're seeing. I mean, I like to drive with all my windows down, but if I'm driving at night, I do keep my windows up because carjackings are up 72% in Montgomery County. You know.
Did you see that thing on the news? I saw just a brief news report. I didn't even know where it was, but it's some woman was getting carjacked in a Chick-fil-A parking lot.
Yeah,
And
that was somewhere in
The
Ohio.
Chick-fil-A employee tackled the guy.
Yeah, that was, I think, Alabama or Ohio is what I think it was.
Yeah, I'm just like I saw this video thing. I'm like, whoa, that's you. And once again, chalk it up to Chick-fil-A employees for doing the going beyond.
But I'll tell you, one other thing I do want to mention is that God is a fan of the Queen and the Empire. Because, while the mourners have been waiting, it's been blue skies and sunshine.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, it's a little cold over there, but
it's cold, but it's not raining, though.
Not raining, which is, yeah.
I remember the first time I went to England, it was like 1985. We were there for 3 weeks. First week and a half, nothing but rain. And my cousins are like, "Oh, you want to go?" I'm like, "It's raining. We can't." They go, "It rains every day."
Yeah, I mean, I think my only trip to London, the time we did that, I don't think it rained much at all. So, like Young was telling me how lucky we were for that, just because, sometimes you can go over there and then you're just stuck because you can't go out and do the touristy things because it's raining all the time.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
it is. That has been amazing, though. I mean, people have a lot of different opinions about the Queen. They're going to have a lot of different opinions about, now King Charles III going forward and whatnot.
But King Charles.
But boy, people waiting 10 plus hours overnight and everything like that to pay their last respects.
Yeah.
There were so many people there. They stopped.
The wait
a lot of
is
people
9 miles
for a while before they could open it up back up again, because the funeral's on Monday. So they've got to get this thing done here, so that where they say at this point in time, no more mourners, because we will not be able to get them all through before we need to prepare for the funeral on Monday. Yep. I mean, here's the thing. I'm almost glad that Charles is ascended to the throne, because he's really not supposed to be political, right? So all this climate activism and all these kinds of things he did, I think he has to shut his mouth.
I bet he doesn't. It's like,
Well, if he gets into it, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to get really ticked off.
Oh yeah, I mean, it gets back to maybe he'll have to advocate, like who was the king that had, because he wanted to marry, was it Grace Kelly? The guy wanted, the King George, I think it was, that wanted to marry Grace Kelly, or
well, there was I mean we had the one, which was it King Edward. I mean, he married Wallace Simpson.
Oh yeah, King Edward, yes, and he advocated,
abdicated. So anyway, so now goes way back. I mean, that was a pretty big shocker. I mean, look, Charles is what, 73, 74 years old.
Yeah.
He'll be lucky if he lasts 20 years there.
Yeah.
And then it'll be on to a younger regime and everything like that.
Well, I think if he would have, if he'd advocated, he could hand the reins over to William, and it would be King William, and he probably had a good chance of running at least 6 decades as a monarch. But because
I mean, look, Kate Middleton is adored. She's beautiful, and she's adored. And she has just handled herself in the way people expect the royals to handle themselves, you know. So yeah,
Post to
yeah,
Meghan Markle.
yeah,
And
I would. Yeah, I mean, but things happen. People make their choice, so they have their lives
yeah,
and everything like that. And I mean, look, I mean, Queen Elizabeth, she tolerated the whole thing, and
yeah. Well,
and
actually,
now,
she was actually Prince Harry's biggest ally.
yeah,
You know, and I think. Oh, but King. Did you hear King Chuck III wants to downsize the monarchy?
yeah,
Like he wants to. And I'm thinking, like, funny. You probably would have been against downsizing the monarch when you were on the dole, but now that you're going to be on the dole forever, you want to cut out your cousins from.
yeah. I mean, I think it's probably an appropriate thing. I mean, because they are going to face some backlash potentially with the Queen's death. I mean,
Mhm.
things whether or not staying part of the Commonwealth, like Australia, something like that. I think there'll be some countries that'll probably revisit that in the not too distant future. The Queen was revered. King Charles is not. So you could see some breaks in the Commonwealth and the
Yeah.
shrinkage of the Commonwealth. So I mean, but if they do shrink the monarchy and the amount of money that is doled out to manage that, but look, I mean, visiting the crown jewels and things like that,
Hmm.
the tourist industry brings in a lot of money
Yeah.
for the government, uh, for all things related to the monarchy, and apparently it more than pays for itself in that regard. It's just that
Hmm.
there's so many people out there who hate the monarchy and they think it's just a waste of money. But I'm not a
you
I've never
know.
been a big I'm not a big fan of the royals, but I'm
Yeah.
fine with the monarchy.
Yeah. And what do you call? They are actually a tourist attraction, similar how Lawrence Welk was declared a tourist attraction in California. I believe it was Lawrence Welk.
So, all right, we're running out of time, so we probably
Yeah.
got to wrap this up.
Yeah. Final thoughts. I'll let you start.
Okay, final thoughts. A few things. It's Christmas at Costco. Okay, so I don't know about you out there or even Dwight, but we've been seeing this for a number of years where goods are starting to come on the shelves a lot earlier than the seasons, right? I mean,
Hmm.
Halloween, I guess you start seeing that stuff in what, like August, maybe even
Yeah.
July, even some
By the
places.
way, yes, July. I saw right after 4th of July, I saw all the Halloween candy go up at the Safeway. By the way, the Macy's in Melbourne had Christmas trees up also.
Yeah, Thanksgiving starts to come earlier with
Yeah.
goods on the shelves. But I think when I was at the Costco yesterday and I saw a couple of Christmas trees, I thought, okay, I don't know. I mean, this is a little too early for me. It's like it's the middle of September here.
Hmm.
Can we give it a little bit more time? I mean,
Yeah.
we're blurring all this stuff between the seasons and all these things. I am a traditionalist in that sense. It's like, if you're gonna give me Halloween stuff, can you wait till September? Can I'll accept it about 30 to 40 days in advance or whatever it is, but 2 or 3 months in advance or whatever, I
Huh?
don't know. I just think that's just getting a little bit ridiculous, when that's going on there. But this is life. I mean, retail has
Hmm.
become that race. You
Yeah.
got to get it out early. I mean, they've obviously got some of the merchandise. I'm sure one of the things that happened this year too is that after the pandemic, when they'd had a hard time getting things, now they ordered so far in advance to get things. If you've got
Hmm.
things,
But
so
but here's the thing, Don. When I was in Florida before the pandemic, Macy's had Christmas trees up in September also. So it's not this is like it's a
well,
recent thing. Like
what,
I
what
remember when stores
if you want to
decor.
go and buy a Christmas tree in September and it's
Yeah,
because it's available, fine. Please just don't put the Christmas tree up in your house until
yeah,
this November, December.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean Boston. What is it?
Don't
Boston
string your
Homes or
Christmas lights and
yeah,
start lighting up your house every night,
yeah.
next week, please.
Actually, there's a we had a neighbor down the street during the pandemic. He had the Christmas lights going into, I think, June in 2020. Like the lights were on all the way to June, and sort of. Oh yeah, it's to make people feel better about the pandemic. What? How? Seeing the lights so the house. You know what I
Some
mean? Forget
some
the fact.
homeowners associations, I think, even ban that kind of a thing. You can't have that running
Yeah,
all year long. That type of thing and all
like
of
in
that.
Florida, they do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing too is that since it was my birthday yesterday, I am a notorious serial birthday club sign up person, and so
Hmm.
I may be too old for the old McDonald's free hamburger thing that were good for if you're under 10 or 12 or whatever it was.
Hmm.
But I've signed up for a bunch of things. Sometimes nowadays with the apps, they don't even send you an email anymore. You actually have to open your app to see if you actually got anything. And I
Hmm.
discovered that the other day. I'm like, oh, look, I got a free burger over here at Habit Burger. I thought I was waiting for an email and I didn't see it. Yeah, I love that. Love the perks. Susan, I hope you're signing up for
Yeah.
perks I have in the past.
Yeah.
Today,
By the way,
today, my,
Don,
today, my
did you get
bonus
your free?
surprise was Dwight's favorite cookie, crumble.
Did you get your free cookie at Panera? The kitchen sink cookie that was free. That's for your
Oh
birthday.
shoot! I missed it from my list. I gotta look. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. I gotta see what.
Chris told me about that. I'm like, yeah, Chris.
So here's the thing about crumble. Okay, I know Dwight, you're not crazy about crumble. So
Yeah.
so they give you a free cookie on your birthday, which I really wasn't focused on, but
Hmm.
I happened to open up my app today and saw that. But they just opened up a store in Germantown this past week,
Hmm.
and today they didn't do any big grand opening thing, but today they were giving away one free cookie to everybody who came through. One like milk.
It's all a celebration of Don Irvine's birthday. That's what it was.
So, so of course, I picked today after I went to use my $10 reward at California Tortilla in Gaithersburg in the Spectrum Center, right by that Royal Farms that you probably went to.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
drove up to Germantown because it was pretty close. And I had pre-ordered my cookie, and I pressed the thing. I'm here, and I'm walking over to the crumble, and I see this line of like 50 people outside the store.
Yeah.
There's another 20 inside the store, like trying to get their cookie. But because I ordered my free cookie, which was a chocolate dirt cake minion cookie in advance, I
Hmm.
could walk in the store, pick up my cookie, and leave. But it also made the parking lot up there by Wegmans kind of nutty and
Yeah.
crazy and everything like that.
Well, and I tell you
And I got
this,
how long? I got to see how long does the Panera thing last? Hopefully it
you
lasts
can probably go
for
tonight. You
hopefully it
probably go
lasts for a
to.
few days. Starbucks will offer you a free item, but it's only
Hmm.
good on your birthday. It's like you can't always
Yeah.
get to a Starbucks on your birthday.
Exactly.
It's like
And yeah.
what kind of crummy thing is that? So
I
now you
think
got
Haagen Dazs gives you like a free ice cream. I think also Haagen Dazs,
where's there a Haagen Dazs that I can go to?
Montgomery Mall.
That's probably maybe that may be even longer than I want to go to. I did
Yeah.
get $10 at Green Turtle, but I haven't gone there in a couple
But
of years.
hey, let me tell you though, the I had a milkshake in Florida from Haagen Dazs. I just ordered the milk. I did not realize it was going to be an $11 plus milkshake.
Where'd you go?
Haagen Dazs,
Oh, Haagen Dazs. Oh, okay. So
$11. It was
I,
good, but it
I
wasn't
I
eleven
actually want
dollars.
to go to that. What's it called? The Crazy Milkshake
Milkshake,
Factory
yeah, in
in
Old Town
Ellicott City.
Ellicott City. Yeah,
Yeah, I want to go there sometime and try that out. All right, so
you know we should. Yeah.
I opened up my Panera app, and what it is until September 22nd, so it's a week. It's a free birthday pastry, which is what it used to be.
Okay.
So I now know what I'll be doing tomorrow morning after I leave the gym is I'll be just driving a few miles up the road to Gaithersburg and get my pastry, my cinnamon
Did,
bun with gazillion calories.
but you're at the gym, so you've worked it off. So
That
it's a
is the thought, okay? But I
it's
want
a
and I don't know about you, but I know when I eat certain food because
mhm.
like I had a couple of days I was doing a lot of church stuff.
Yeah.
So I go to the gym in the morning, but I couldn't go to the gym in the afternoon to work anything off. I mean, I
Hmm.
was walking around, I got a lot of steps, but I
Hmm.
wasn't doing intensive, like
Yeah.
aerobics or anything like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, the last couple of days my weight's been going like up, 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 up. So I'm hoping today I pushed it back a little bit.
Hmm.
but I did eat a California tortilla, so I may be even tonight. I don't know. We'll see what happens when I weigh myself tomorrow, as to
Yeah.
how that's going to go out there and stuff like that. But there's all kinds of there's a lot of free stuff. If you don't you don't if you don't sign up, you don't get it. I mean, there's like a free ice cream scoop at Baskin Robbins. They've been doing that for
Yeah.
years, and things like that. But I feel like I'm in a race against the clock because some of them are good for like 5 days, some of them are good for 7 days or 10 days. So I'm like, okay, I've only got a limited amount
Yeah.
of time to go and do this. So
And
should Young and I go to Frederick and go get my free meal at Golden Corral, or is that just too far to go to get a $10 meal, $12 meal?
that's really bad food at Golden Corral. You really don't eat that stuff.
Their
Remember
fried
we ate?
chicken, their fried chicken is good.
Yeah, I don't know. Remember we ate there on our way back from North Carolina once, and I was
Yeah.
not a fan.
I'm not, look, I used to be a big buffet, whether I was Chinese buffet or other things like that. But Golden, if it wasn't for the birthday thing in Golden Corral, I probably wouldn't go to buffets at all anymore.
I did
Young,
like Old Country Buffet. I did like them because I thought they were like nicer. It was cleaner than yeah, too much perk stress.
yeah, I love that. That is like the best comment ever. But I mean, post pandemic, the buffets are different now. I mean, in
Yeah,
terms of how they
Armand's
handle.
got rid of their pizza buffet. I mean, but I hear Cece's is making a comeback.
I don't know. I mean, I never thought. I mean, the pizza
Hopefully,
was
their
cheap, but it
pizza
was never that
it was
great.
horrible.
Yeah,
They had the
right.
worst pizza. I mean,
It's like to me, it's like going to Little Caesars. I mean, ugh.
by the way, how did Little Caesars become the official pizza of the NFL?
It's money, man. It's money.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I mean, wow, that is like horrible pizza. Because it used to be Papa John's, I think.
Yeah, Papa John's had Papa. I know Papa John's had. They did the Redskins for a while before.
Yep.
Yeah, Cece's was cardboard. That's what I always say about Little Caesars.
Yes. You know, but Little Caesars, when they were first around, it was actually better pizza. Maybe
So
it was because I.
one thing
Yeah.
about pizza, and you're the pizza aficionado though. It's like,
Yeah.
so my kids went to BYU, and
Hmm.
surrounding a lot of BYU at the time, years ago, there were a lot of little pizza joints right off of campus.
Hmm.
For $4, $5 for a whole pizza or whatever it was.
Yeah.
The pizza didn't really have to be any good. The fact was it was cheap. The
Yep.
price drives a lot of people.
Yep.
CC's was cheap. So people thought they were getting good value. When you're paying that little for a pizza, they don't really care what it tastes like, especially if they got little
Yeah.
kids. I mean, that's kind of our conclusion a litll bit with our grandchildren in
Yeah.
Indiana. When before my son-in-law, actually started making money, before when he was in his residency and things like that,
Hmm.
they really didn't earn much of any money. They would order lots of Little Caesars pizza. So that's all my grandchildren have pretty much known for the longest period of time.
Hmm.
Now you would love that. You'd love my daughter and my son-in-law and my grandkids, because Friday night is pizza night in the house. And they
There you go.
rotate it between like Domino's and Costco and whatever.
That's a
So
Montgomery County tradition. You know that. That's like I mean, when you were in MCPS schools, Friday was always pizza day.
was that
You
on the
know.
lunch menu? I don't remember I don't even remember. It's been so long. I don't even remember what the rotation was.
Yeah, no, every Friday was pizza day, and because Montgomery County has a high Catholic population, that's why pizza was there. And I liked the pizza, and then as I got older, I did not like the pizza because it really didn't taste good. You know,
Well, see, here's the thing. Okay, for me, as for school lunches, okay,
mhm.
except for the stuff that my mom cooked at home, right, and she was a good cook. Um, for things like pizza, I think the majority of the pizza I ate growing up was through the county lunch program, school lunch, because I
Mhm.
pretty much bought my lunch every day that I was in school
Mhm.
for most of the time I was in school. I didn't have much to compare it to. So for me, the pizza was pretty good, but I didn't have anything really to compare it to, right? And then we didn't have all the gourmet pizza. We didn't have all the Papa John's and all those places
Mhm.
back then. So it was very
Pizza was gourmet back then. I mean, Pizza Hut used to be a really good pizza place. I
fish
mean,
on
their pizza,
Fridays. I think that was definitely a tradition.
yeah. But Pizza Hut back then was actually good pizza. We could do a whole show on just pizza places. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know if you ever go. Did you ever go to the corner pub when you were growing up? The corner pub
Corner.
there, known for their pizza.
We went to we did we did some pizza when I was growing up, but not a lot. Just not a lot.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's enough yapping for me. Your turn.
Okay. Okay. Final thoughts. A couple things. One, it is this weekend. We are closer. Yes, I do love Shakey's. There was Don. You
That
remember
was
we've
it.
gone
Hey,
to.
wait a minute, wait a minute. Okay, I take that back. I did eat a lot of Shakey's. That's right. I
Yeah,
completely forgot about that.
there used to be one on Rockville Pike, and
Yeah.
if you remember, when I worked for you at AIM, we remember we took the train out to Bethesda to go to the Shakey's, which is by the new AIM where AIM moved to when Shakey's left. After Shakey's had been gone for years and years and years, but we went up there for Shakey's, and they had their pizza buffet, and I actually liked Shakey's better than Pizza Hut, but Pizza Hut I like them when you can dine in. That's my thoughts on Pizza Hut. But anyways, back to my final thoughts. A couple things. One, we're getting closer and closer to the elections. Next Thursday, update for everyone. The fabulous Kellyanne Conway is going to be the speaker at the Red, White, and Blue dinner. Come one, come all. They still have plenty of good seats available. Go to mdgop.org to buy your tickets. It is going to be a great event in College Park at the hotel. I know a lot of people don't like that park garage, but if you go about a half a block up, there is a surface lot you can park in, and that's great. Plenty of spots to park there, and it's just about a couple blocks away.
All right, Dwight. I missed the conversation then. So, what happened to Christy Nome?
Christy Nome had back surgery.
Oh,
Yes. So, I mean, just between us and our viewers, I think it's a trade up, so to speak. Kellyanne Conway, she's got a great book out also, and we've known Kellyanne since when she was Kellyanne Fitzpatrick, and when she used to come to Grover's and so on. So it's going to be a great single, well, friend Kellyanne again, for Red, White, and Blue. And then there's also about it. The Women's Federation has a lunch on September 29th. The speaker is Governor Ehrlich and former First Lady Kendall Ehrlich. You can still get your tickets if you go to the state MFRW site. You can buy tickets for the dinner. Great event. It's going to be, and the governor gives a great speech. Come support Governor Ehrlich. 20 years ago is when he announced to give up a safe House seat to run for governor. Come see Governor Ehrlich at the MFRW lunch over at Rio on the 29th. Buy your tickets, mfrw.com, I believe, or mfrw.org is the website. But come one, come all. And I will tell you the website. It is not mfrw.com. Is it .org?
yes. Kellyanne is a strong woman, especially when you're married to that guy.
Yeah. mfrw.org. You can go there and buy your tickets for their luncheon they've got. It's the Red Wave Luncheon, and it's going to be great. Governor Ehrlich is the speaker. Buy your tickets, mfrw.com. And also Prince George's County and St. Mary's County has a Lincoln Reagan dinner coming up. And they've also got Governor Ehrlich speaking for all of our friends and viewers in St. Mary's County. Go check out the governor, listen to him speak. He just spoke the other day at Neil Parrott's fundraiser in Rockville, and he really lit the room up with his speech. It was probably one of the best speeches I've heard Governor Ehrlich give in a while. And then Governor Ehrlich will be in Prince George's County on October 12th. He's going to be speaking there. It's at the Bowie Comfort Inn. Come one, come all. Great event. Sign up for VIP. You'll get a copy of the governor's book. And also there is Poolsville Days tomorrow. And happy Constitution Day to everyone. Tomorrow is Constitution Day.
I'm glad that's right.
And
good catch.
And that is tomorrow. I feel like I'm just going down like a schedule of events this weekend. Then Sunday in District 18, we're going to be door knocking for Republican candidates. Come on out to District 18, and we're going to be doing door knocking. And we got some great candidates this year. We've got yours truly, myself. I'm running. And stay tuned to my campaign. We've got a big announcement coming up real soon. And and now my final thoughts. Actually, now let's get to my final thoughts. A couple things. One, bike lanes, they don't work. I was on Old Georgetown Road, and I was sitting in traffic while the bike lane was empty. There could have been cars going down, but now you know what they did? They put those little barriers up so you can't even get into the bike lane. So the bicyclist has a lane that's never being used, while the cars only get 2 lanes down Old Georgetown Road, and it really snarls the traffic right there. People, down there, they wonder why people get road rage when they see the county council doing idiotic things like putting in bike lanes where there should be place for cars. Frankly, yes, absolutely, they are stupid. And by the way, biker, like less than, I want to say, and I'm being generous when I say less than 3% of Montgomery County residents are avid bikers who will bike, and it's a recreational hobby. Ride it in the parks, in the bike trails. There are a lot of great bike trails. I see a lot of you bikers when I'm jogging on those bike trails. Relax. Come on out and use the bike pass. Stay off the roads. It's safe for you. It's safer for you to be on the bike trails. It's safer for me as a driver. Because I know a lot of you bikers have basically just thumb your nose at red lights and stop signs. You just blow through those things. But you have to. If you're on the road, you have to obey those road signs too. And that's my rant against bikers. But that's, with that said, that's it for my final thoughts. And go to dwightfromoko.com, learn more about my campaign. But real quick, this past week we celebrated 60 years since President Kennedy outlined the mission to the moon. NASA has a great documentary on the mission to the moon. Also, Don, what a different 60 years. Democrats and 60 years later, John Kennedy pushed STEM education, math and sciences, when he was president, and he spoke at Rice University. Today's Democrats are pushing CRT and sexual perversion. So voting Democrat, you'll get more things like Transvestite Story Hour in MCPS, Montgomery County Public Libraries. And frankly, we don't want that. I mean, I think it's just not something we should be exposing our children to. And then one last final thought. Joe Biden, First Lady, on the Today Show said, in America, we don't ban books, when she was asked about controversial books in the children's sections in the libraries. Well, Joe Biden, why is the Bible banned from school libraries? You can't find a Bible in any school library or in many public libraries. You can't. I think you can in public libraries, but school libraries you cannot find the Bible. It's banned. So they can ban that, but they can't really ban. So that's it. Joe Biden, you're a hypocrite, quite frankly. Just spend more time with your husband. You need to. He needs to be kept on the. Somebody needs to keep him falling down or having his oatmeal dribble out of his mouth. Anyways, final thoughts are done. We'll see everyone next week. And Dr. Jeff will be back next Friday. So we'll be here. And anyone who wants to see us, the doctors will be at the Red, White, and Blue dinner this Thursday night. And there's a lot of events coming up. They're really piling on now, the events. So take care, everyone. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.